For the Cavs to beat the Warriors, and the Warriors have now won, if my math is correct, 7 of the last 8 against Cleveland. For the Cavs to beat the Warriors, one thing has to happen, and then a few other things do. But the first thing that has to happen is LeBron has to be transcendent. LeBron's got to do what he did in the final 3 games of the 2016 finals. He's got to be a guy that gives you like 36, 12, and 10 in order for them to win. Last night, LeBron was good. He had 32, 8, and 6, the 4 blocks we talked about. But he also had 8 turnovers, and he was careless with the ball at times. And it was a good basketball game, but it was not a, oh my God, this is a performance for the ages. The Cavs have never beaten the Warriors in a game that mattered without LeBron having an, oh my God, this is a performance for the ages performance. So the question is, can he do that 4 times in 7 games come June? So I just think that needs to be a given. But I also think people need to start to acknowledge this Cleveland team, whether you like it or not, clearly toggles the on-off switch. Cece, if the Cavs played the way they had played the last 2 weeks, they'd have got beat by 35 points, right? Yep. And I know they ended up losing by 10. They had a terrible cold streak to start the 4th quarter when LeBron was on the bench. This game was tied 93-93 early in the 4th, and then the Cavs, I believe, went 2 of 15 from the field, and that's what allowed the game to get blown open, and the Warriors ended up walking to a victory. Like, the Cavs clearly were in almost a self-induced lull. I think they showed last night they can snap out of it. Now, the concern is if you watched Isaiah Thomas, man, Isaiah, you hope right now when you're watching him that he's just out of shape and that he's just not fully healthy. Because if the new normal for Isaiah Thomas is that he lost a step due to the hip injury, that he will not get back, then all of a sudden, if he's not an explosive player at his height, it's a real problem. They traded the second best player on their team for a pick, Jay Crowder and Isaiah Thomas. Crowder's been bad. Isaiah Thomas last night, I believe, was 5 of 21 from the field, 8 of 21 from the field, and he has struggled mightily. The last 3 games, he's 13 of 47. That's a concern point if he doesn't get better. But you saw last night that Cleveland can ratchet it up when they want to.
But Isaiah, still, even when they ratchet up, it's, I don't know, back to your question, like, are they miles apart? Depending on a LeBron, what did you call it?
Transcendent performance.
Transcendent, because we've seen LeBron do everything. So that's your hope. This guy's got to be transcendent 4 games. Like, so, Jenna, I'll go back. Yes, they are miles apart. If that's what we're waiting on, 4 of those performances, and the other guys can just do anything, yes, they are. Because it's hard to put that type of pressure on the king. And as you can see, the Warriors last night, from my point of view, they have gained an extreme amount of confidence in playing against the Cavaliers.
Listen, the Warriors are the most, just as far as, like, league rankings, they're the most talented team ever put together. Like, period, point blank. They have the 2nd best player in the world and the 3rd or 4th best player in the world and the 10th or 11th best player in the world and the best defensive player in the world. They have all that, and those are 4 separate individuals. We've never seen a team like that. So, of course, LeBron's got to be out of this world for the Cavs to have a chance to compete. That was the case.
That's why I think the story are other people, because it's hard to rely on that. It's more about Kevin Love. It's more about, do they trade Tristan Thompson? It's D-Wade. Does he have the legs to be able to run the point? I believe that IT will get better. He had a hip injury. It's a lower extremity. He's a strong little player. Your legs and trying to get back into game shape are the last thing. And he's a jump shooter. He's a jump shooter and a dribble drive guy. So his legs will come back to him in playing all those minutes. But you have to keep playing him. He'll start. He's not going to shoot 30% for the rest of the season.
What does that look like, a month?
I don't know that. I don't know that, but I know after the All-Star break, he'll be significantly better than he is right now.
And he did say after the game last night, he's like, I know I don't have my legs yet. Just wait till I have my legs back.
And the Cavs are, I think, sacrificing some opportunities to win games in trying to get him into it. I mean, he led the team in shots last night, despite being clearly not near 100%.
And he played, I think, 32 minutes or something.
Yeah, he played
really
the most he's played since the injury.
Yeah, don't forget he's playing for a contract. So you don't have to think that they called all those shots. He was getting his shots up because he's playing for a contract.
No doubt. Can I just quickly go back to something you said?
Yes.
Because you mentioned Kevin Love. And that is the other factor that we have to watch. Kevin Love has been the only part of his game that's been improved since Isaiah got there on the court is his three-point percentage. And that's just because there's going to be more spacing. But he's averaging fewer points. He's averaging fewer rebounds. He was playing the best basketball we'd seen him play in 5 years. And now he's playing, it's a very small sample size, but some of the bad Kevin Love we've seen in Cleveland, that is something that has to be monitored. Can Kevin Love and Isaiah Thomas figure out the 2-3 on that team if they're going to have a chance to compete against the Warriors?
All right, Nick, as LeBron said, for 36 minutes, they did compete with the Warriors and competed pretty well, and then the game sort of got away from them. What changes do the Cavs have to make now to be able to compete with Golden State moving forward?
They can compete with them as is. They've played twice this year. Both of these games were decided in the fourth quarter. In the first meeting, now IT wasn't playing, but Steph wasn't playing. So if you want to throw that one out, you can. But in the first meeting, that's a one-possession game going down the stretch. Kevin Durant gets away with a couple fouls. The Warriors win. This game, it's tied early in the fourth quarter. LeBron's on the bench. The Cavs go 2 of 15 from the field over an extended time. The Warriors stretch them out. So they can compete with them as we are today. People are going to say, oh, their defense can't do it. Last year, after the All-Star break to the end of the season, they were 29th in defense. This year, they're 29th in defense. But what happened in the playoffs? They ratcheted up to 3rd in defense. So the Cavs clearly, to me, have an on-off switch. It's why I haven't panicked about them all year. But as they stand right now, it's not about competing with the Warriors. It'd be about beating the Warriors. And to beat the Warriors, of course, Isaiah Thomas needs to get back at least some close proxy of what he was last year. Maybe they make a trade involving that Brooklyn pick. But if they don't make a trade involving the Brooklyn pick, one lineup change, Brian Windhorst mentioned this, that they are discussing this, that I think it would be an interesting wrinkle. They tried it earlier in the season out of necessity, and that's playing LeBron more at center. LeBron, according to the advanced metrics, is one of the best rim protectors in the league. You can then truly have 4 shooters around him. You can let Isaiah play more point guard with LeBron. You would be going very small, but the Warriors tend to go very small. So that is one wrinkle they didn't unveil last night. I imagine in the NBA Finals they will try some lineups like that.
Would LeBron go for that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'd go for that all year, but in a series, absolutely. Anything, and I mean, LeBron can be effective wherever he's at. So, yeah, I don't think that would be a problem as far as LeBron going along with it.
Yeah, LeBron, he would accept it, but he would accept it reluctantly because Kevin Love, he just accepted the job reluctantly. You know, they moved him from the 4. He's been a standard 4, and they moved him to the 5. And Tristan Thompson coming off the bench. So I believe that they will have to experiment, but if you wait to get to the finals to do that, it's going to be even worse. Like, I believe Golden State is significantly better than the Cavaliers. So they are going to have to come up with some formula, some type of rotation for what they're going to do. I don't believe LeBron going to center is the answer to that because they still have problems defensively. Because, yeah, you got 4 shooters, but what about the other end of the court? You have to defend. Okay, so now you got LeBron. He's your rim protector, hypothetically, but defensively, you're still a weak basketball team. So Cleveland is going through major changes because of minutes. Tristan Thompson's coming back from injury. We know IT's coming back from injury. So trying to get them acclimated back into the regular rotation, it has been a chore. But the on and off switch with Cleveland, that's not a plus. It's a minus. They've lost 8 out of their last 10 games. And if they had played with the same intensity they played with last night, they wouldn't have lost 8 out of their last 10. So I'm not going to throw last night's game in there, but I'm not talking about last night. I'm talking about how they play on a regular basis. Right. It's hard to improve when you don't play hard. And that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it's not only this year. They have done this several years.
And so, Cece, earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, you said if they played the Warriors right now, they'd get swept and they'd get blown out throughout the series. After seeing last night, with Isaiah going 8 of 21, with Dwayne Wade being 5 of 16, and seeing the Warriors at full strength. And
they were just at full strength for numbers. The Warriors didn't play great.
And the Cavs had nothing to do with that. That was just the Warriors just didn't play great. Do you still feel that way?
Yes. The Golden State is significantly better. Right now, if they played, they might win a game. It's not going 4-2. It's not going 4-3.
Yes, okay. So I feel like you and I have both said, now this is assuming that Isaiah Thomas is going to improve and get healthier, that this Cavs team is better than the one last year. The one last year, that game...
No, we thought they were better.
You no longer think that?
It's not played out. We haven't had the team healthy.
Right.
Tristan Thompson might not be with the team. Jeff Green hadn't played with IT a whole bunch. Shumpert's been hurt. So, no, we don't know yet.
Okay,
we haven't seen them together.
So I again, and I am doing some anticipating here that IT is going to improve, that he's going to get healthier. Assuming that happens, I do think this team is better equipped to beat Golden State than last year's team because they don't die when LeBron goes to the bench the way last year's team did. The critical game of people look at last year's finals and they say it was a blowout because the Warriors won in 5. The key point of that game was Game 3, the game we were at together. And I know everyone points to Korver missed 3 and then Kevin Durant's made 3. But the real key of that game was the end of the first quarter. When the Cavs had a small lead, LeBron goes to the bench for 90 seconds, they get outscored by 10, and the Warriors end up having a big lead going into the second quarter. That won't happen again this year. So the idea that they weren't even at all close last year when the series turned in Game 3, and I think they're better this year. So, I mean, I guess we'll see it. I thought last night was evidence of that.
Well, meanwhile, if the Warriors aren't playing full strength, they picked up their 13th straight road wins. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.